Hello there, this is DBG and this is Art of Runes. And alright, let's continue talking about Asphalt Legends. And I say talking because while I am actually going to be playing some multiplayer, really the purpose of this video is to talk about the whole debacle related to the Blue Monday and the Venom F5 packs and all of those shenanigans. You know that it was a bit of a mess, and today I want to talk about it. I want to address some of the things that happened and, well, my thoughts on the overall situation. But before I get into it, if you enjoy my content, please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. As I always say, this helps the channel to continue to be discovered and it keeps me going. And if you see that hype button somewhere, go ahead and press it. I still don't know exactly what it does, but apparently it helps, so go ahead and press it as well if you like what I do over here. But alright, as I just mentioned, I'm gonna be playing a little bit of multiplayer over here. I really have not played MP1 at all. You will notice by my score of 50 that I've only done one single race over here. It's very late in the season, so whatever. I'm gonna be playing with my Gallardo a little bit, because why not? But really, I want to talk about this entire thing. Now, first, I want to basically lay down the ground of how this whole thing came to be. And that is from the moment that the patch notes were released even to us, the content creators. I made a video talking obviously on the patch notes and all of that, and I mentioned that there was the Blue Monday event that was scheduled. I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be featuring the Hennessy Venom F5. That would be a fantastic opportunity for you to buy packs if you have the tokens for it, because hey, you know, this type of events don't have requirements, and other than that, you can just straight up buy packs, because normally that is the case in events, in daily events. Even then, some people were telling me like, DBT, just keep in mind that sometimes this event don't have packs, so just, you know, it's not guaranteed. And I'm like, you know what, fair enough, there might be a possibility that there are no packs in that event, but we will see. So as the time continued to approach and we were closer and closer to it, and I made videos on the Tushek Eon, especially on the special event, specifically on that, I was talking precisely like, hey, so this event, you need to do this and blah, blah, blah. These are the requirements on the event, and you can eventually get some blueprints of the card. Maybe you want to spend on this card, or maybe you want to spend on the Venom F5 instead, because if there are packs for the Venom F5, that would be a better place to spend the tokens rather than on the Tushek Eon, simply because the Tushek Eon obviously has a bunch of requirements with the support cards to unlock the packs for the main card itself, you know, all of that stuff, right? So I was trying to be a little bit cautious over there and saying like, hey, we don't know if there's gonna be packs on the Venom, but if there are packs, that would be a good place to spend. But then last Thursday came to be, and I mentioned that because that is when MP2, well, the multiplayer series reset, and we got the new free tries in MP2, including the Venom F5. Now, this kind of matters because this basically made me realize some of the stuff, some other side of the community that I was very, very surprised about, not in a positive way. And that is because, well, you know, having a free try of the Venom F5 meant that a lot of people could drive it. Literally everybody could drive the car. A car that the vast majority of the players are not going to have. And before someone told me, but the car has been made available free and blah, 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 blah. Let's keep in mind that, you know, for every person that plays the game consistently and, you know, follows all the events and whatnot, there's probably another 20 people who play it very, very casually and are not following every single spotlight and all of that, and did not manage to get the Venom F5. So, for a lot of players, the Venom F5 is something that they never have gotten the chance to drive, or maybe only during previous free tries or whatever. Where I'm going with this is that these are players who are not used to this type of cars. I count myself in that one because obviously I'm a player that has been playing consistently and all of that, but you know that I have very bad skills when it comes to those type of cars, precisely because I've never exposed myself too much into playing that. I already made a video talking about that whole thing, and precisely that's where I'm going, because it started to become really clear that people were being upset. Some people, and by the way, all of these things that I'm going to be talking about, I'm not saying that this is the majority of the players, but it's definitely a non-insignificant amount of people who, for example, in this case, started getting upset at the fact that people were driving the Hennessy Venom F5 in MP2. And one might wonder, but why would they be upset about people having a free try of that car? Oh boy. By the way, you will see over here that I'm getting first places, because again, I'm basically kind of smurfing because I hadn't played multiplayer at all. So right now I'm playing on a league where I don't actually belong. And I make a point to mention this because precisely this is where I started noticing like, wow, what's going on with people? Because people started being upset with other players for not being good players. You know, like, why are people driving the Venom F5 if they don't know how to drive it? They play terrible. Even I made a video driving the Hennessy Venom F5, and people were just roasting me like, oh, this is terrible, and blah, 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 blah. And look, as I mentioned precisely in another video, unfortunately, that is just the nature of being a person who puts videos on YouTube. You open yourself to criticism from any and everybody. So to me, this is not a surprise. But it really started becoming super surprising to me that people were legit upset at people driving the Hennessy Venom F5 in MP2 during the free trial because they don't know how to drive it. And it's like, oh yeah, but these guys don't know how to play it. They make this super boring. Because if I want to play with my own Hennessy Venom F5, where I do have, I'm talking by the way as the example person, like I want to have fun in this rank, but these people that don't know how to play are just making it super boring because I get to obliterate everybody. So suddenly the skill shaming began. And it's like, wow, so, all right, it is a problem that someone that doesn't know how to drive the car is driving the car because it's making the game less fun for you? And this is something that I saw in several places, including in Reddit. I even saw some posts of people being like, well, you know, prepare to see an influx of people with if they unlock the Venom F5 during the Blue Monday event, prepare to see an influx of people that are just going to be completely ruining the game because they don't know how to drive this car. Some of the people like, hey, if you're gonna get the Venom F5, you should at least learn how to drive it. And that's when I'm not like, what is happening? Why is suddenly, all of the sudden, people are showing up being like, oh, you guys play so bad, you need to learn how to play. If you're gonna use this car, learn to use it. Even today, I still see people posting related to this whole debacle and things that happen afterwards, being like, yeah, but why would people want a car that they don't know how to drive? No, and I keep on seeing this elitism, and I'm like, what is happening over here? When did we, the players, the community, became the gatekeepers of fun in the game? You are not allowed to drive a car unless you know how to drive it properly. It's a game, people. Jesus. And like I said, I made a video talking about this whole thing. I'll link it in the top right if you want to watch it. In that video, I failed to mention that while I was talking about my experience, I was also referring to what I had been seeing, this whole thing that I'm commenting on right now, about the fact that it was a criticism of the community towards the newbies in general, simply because, oh, they don't know how to drive the car. So that was, to me, already super insane to witness, because it's like, wow, do people forget that they were newbies at some point? But whatever. Like I said, I already made an entire video talking about that, so there is that. But no, after this whole thing, well, you know, people kept on getting excited about, oh my god, we might just have the packs. And I made a point to make a couple of videos precisely telling people like, hey, we don't know if there's going to be packs. Let's hope that there are packs, but there's no guarantees. Just keep your expectation low so that if there are no packs, then, you know, you're not too disappointed about it. In fact, I did make a video called something like no confirmation on the packs, something like that. Now, the interesting part is that in that video, people started, you know, as I released the video, there was no confirmation. And yet, in that video, in the comments, people were telling me, DBT, but there's already confirmation. The packs are happening, let's go, woo! And people suddenly started getting super excited about it. And I'm like, wait, there's confirmation? Where? Turns out that during the Ace Challenge live event in the Asphalt channel, there was communication. People were asking, are there gonna be packs? And it was communicated later. We learned that it was Motley who sent this message in saying that there were going to be packs, that you were gonna be able to purchase packs for the Venom in during the event of the Blue Monday. So people were like, oh my god, unbelievable, woo! So that is what people really got excited, and I can understand why. However, I did say it, and after this race I'll show you the message that I sent, but because again I had already released that video by the time that I learned that this whole thing had been confirmed, I left a comment and pinned it within that video precisely in saying that people, maybe you should not get too excited about that, because yes, while technically it is an official confirmation by Gameloft that there's gonna be packs, there is always a possibility that there might be some misunderstanding or some words that, how can I explain this? Yeah, like later Motley said, miscommunication in terms of the terminology used in that message. So basically what I was telling people was like, hey guys, don't get too excited about it. There is a possibility that they didn't actually mean purchase for tokens, because you know, the message as it was sent by Motley was not necessarily mentioning even tokens. Again, I'll show it to you in a second. Let me just finish this race, because yeah, all of this I'm playing as I'm doing the commentary, so there is that. But there we go. So this is, oh boy, this is what I posted as the comment on that situation. I'm gonna read it as I wrote it. There was confirmation about the packs on a recent live event, quoting, "You'll be able to purchase packs for the F5 during Blue Monday. But for what we know, they may have meant purchase for money, and packs could be bundles. So it's better for sanity not to consider this to be a 100% confirmation of packs for tokens." And again, I know it's a bit of a controversial thing to say. Just in the sense that, well, you know, if there was an official source of GameLove saying that, you know, there's gonna be the pack, so obviously it's an unofficial confirmation. We should 100% take it for as true, right? Well, no. And this just comes from experience on a lot of different places. But if you've ever had a job where there's a bunch of different departments, you may know that departments call different things, different terminologies, or simply there might be confusion in the terms. The Department of Human Resources may not understand that the product that you are selling, it's called a bathtub as opposed to, I don't know, a bucket. I know it's a very dumb example. What I'm trying to say over here is that different people from different areas may not know exactly the terminology that they're talking, or the specific terminology that it's being used. So, what I can see over here happening is that perhaps the question that was asked was like, hey, are there gonna be blueprints for purchase on the event? And someone told Motley, yes, there's gonna be blueprints for purchase. And I'm like, okay, well, there we go. And that's what Motley communicated. Again, at the time I didn't know this was Motley who posted it, but by now we know, so there's that. So I was like, you know, I mean, there is a possibility that there may have been a confusion in the terms. Maybe they did legit mean purchase as in money. So hey, who knows? Just don't get too excited, people. Let's just see what happens, and that is that. But obviously, I only have a certain amount of reach, a very small reach within the entire community. So people who saw that message saw it. Who didn't? Well, they didn't, and they were just running with the idea that, oh my God, there's gonna be pack. Let's get excited. Whoa, let's go. So I did what I could to try to, you know, keep the expectations low, but whatever, it is what it is. A lot of people, the 99% of the community, well, didn't get to see what I had to say about it, so either way. But this is one thing that I keep on saying in general, that's why it's always good to keep your expectations low. That is not to say that you should never expect something good ever, but, you know, just in general to temper your expectation, because otherwise you are very likely going to be led to disappointment. I'm not talking about the game, I'm talking in life in general, but whatever. So anyway, that is before this whole thing happened, right, of the Blue Monday. Now, come finally the Monday when the event is going to be released. And it's these things happen at 3 a.m. for me, so because of time zones and whatnot, so I'm never in time to see exactly what happens in the moment that things happen. And then on top of that, I had a busy Monday anyway, so I didn't really have an opportunity to have a look at that. The point is that by the time that I finally get to look around, both in the game and on Discord, that's when I noticed that, oh my God, an entire civil war just happened over here. What the heck just happened? And that's when I saw the entire debacle, and I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be pain. So the event starts at, like I said, it's my 3 a.m., whatever time it was for you. The event starts and people are like, whoa, here's the event, and well, we can only get 3 blueprints on the thing. Well, it's not too exciting, but the packs, I want to buy some packs, and there are no packs. Panic ensues. And obviously, as we have seen many times, sometimes some parts of events end up being delayed and like, well, you know, this is not showing. Let's wait a little bit. Let's wait some 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, and see if the packs show. And people were just wondering, like, yeah, hopefully the packs are gonna be showing soon and whatnot, and blah, 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 blah. But then, turns out that it's not that the packs are delayed, it's that there are no packs. And oh boy, now how did we learn that was the case? Because Motley actually came out and said it himself. I'll show you the message that he sent on Discord once again, once I finish this race, because I am legit doing this in real time. Like I said, I am playing right now in super late in the season, so that's when I'm getting a bunch of W's, because I have pretty decent cars, and overall people who are stuck in lower leagues, it's because they don't have the best cars, or maybe they're not the most experienced in the game, so it's fine. So that's why I'm getting a bunch of W's, but whatever. That's why I'm not paying too much attention. And in a way, this is kind of fine, because in this way, I get to focus more on what I'm talking than the gameplay itself, and you know, like, oh my god, I'm gonna crash or anything like that. But anyway. So yeah, Motley comes out and he's like, guys, there was a miscommunication and it's actually my fault. And well, first, I'm really glad that Motley did say this, that he clarified the situation, because otherwise people would have continued to wonder, why the packs not showing? Guys, is this a bug? Hey, Gameloft, this is a bug. Where are the packs? But no, it wasn't a bug. It was unfortunately just what it was meant to be. And here's the message that Motley sent. This was 20 minutes after the event started, and it says F5 pack availability. Motley here, it seems I miscommunicated during the Ace Challenge stream. I was told the F5 would be available in bundles in the store, and I misunderstood as if you would be able to buy packs in the store. Sorry for the confusion, this is fully my bad, not a setting issue. So what he's saying is like, this is what it was meant to be, I misunderstood what I was told about it. So this is not an error within the game or something that needs fixed. This is what it is, and that's how it's going to stay. Sorry about this. Now, it is a short message. It is a very concise message. Obviously not what we wanted to see or to hear, but we finally have the official confirmation that this is the case. So like I said, I did imagine that this could happen. That's why I sent that other message. Or the comment on my video saying like, hey, don't get too excited. They could have meant bundles, they could have meant for money. And turns out that I was exactly right. I wasn't the only one. It's not that, oh, I'm a genius and I don't know. Errors like this happen. And again, I make a big point on saying that this is an error. Because obviously there's already a bunch of people who are like, no, this was on purpose and it's game of, they were messing with us and no, they were doing it on purpose and blah, 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 blah. I'll talk about all of that in a second. But yeah, so I figured this could be the case, and that is why I was telling people, hey, don't get too excited. Let's wait and see what happens. Just don't get too hyped about it. Yeah, there was quote-unquote official confirmation that there were going to be packs, but you know, let's see what happens. Well, here's the event, and turns out that there's no packs, and it has been officially confirmed that the official confirmation was a mistake. Now, it is very unfortunate, because like I said, even I was actually kind of excited to finally get blueprints and maybe max out finally my Venom F5 after many years of playing this game. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll spend my tokens and all that, but that's not the case. Well, that is very unfortunate, and to be completely fair, I do believe that people have the right to be not only disappointed, but even bothered by this development, being like, what do you mean? So, wait, but you guys said that there were gonna be, and there isn't. Oh my god, this is just so bad. I understand that, but then what happened after, that is where things really got out of control and where I gotta be like, okay, yeah, this has gone too far. The rioting begun. And what do I mean by that? Well, again, I wasn't present at the time, but I was made aware of just the crazy stuff that took place on the official Discord server, where some people were disappointed. Some people were like, yeah, I kind of expected this to be the case. Some people were kind of like laughing about it. Ha, well, it is what it is. And yet there was a bunch of people, a number of people, who, you know, they didn't just see appropriate to be like, well, you know, to communicate the fact that they were disappointed, but instead they went absolutely nuclear into being absolute buttheads in the Discord server by being disrespectful, to say the least. But also it got to the point where they were even unaliving threats to the staff. By Gameloft, and by staff I mean whether it was Motley, whether it was also to the moderators, who, by the way, had to deal with all of this face first. And that is the part where, yeah, the people really don't understand how difficult it is to be a moderator in a really big platform like their official Discord is. Because of course, again, it's understandable that people are upset, but the lengths to which they went into making their anger to be noticeable was absolutely ridiculous. To start threatening people simply because something in the game is not what you wanted it to be. Yeah, all right, I understand that in their mind they lied to us and all of that and blah 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 blah. I understand that, but to go to that level of like, I'm just gonna, you know, send death threats in Discord and all, it's absolutely ridiculous. Imagine that you're just a guy that is supposed to keep the peace in a town. And then, well, it's you and another, let's say, 4 other people. It's 5 of you, 5 people in charge of keeping the peace around. And suddenly, there's 30, I don't know, 30, 40 people, however many. And they start absolutely going insane. well, you're gonna have to take a quick action to shut all of that down. Because again, and this is something that people may not be aware if they've never had the opportunity to manage a group of people. But the moment that you allow one person to start going absolutely crazy, that person activates a second person, then it's two people going crazy, and then you have another 5 people going crazy, and then it starts snowballing. That is what tends to happen. Because then, if I am a random user and I see someone calling a moderator, oh, you're an absolute effing and whatever, right? Like, oh wow, this is a moment to let my anger out. So I'm gonna join, and I'm also Jesus Christ, I'm also gonna be calling out, oh no, but you lied to me, oh no, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, it keeps on growing and growing and growing, and it starts going out of control. What is a moderator to do over there? Well, you need to shut all of that stuff down as quickly as possible. And this is where, again, it's very difficult to explain to people that have never been in this position where they have to control other people. But, you know, people need the people who are in, let's say, in charge. Jesus Christ, dirty player. The people who are in charge of keeping the peace, they need to take quick actions. So yeah, I understand that there started to be a lot of bans. Because, well, not a lot. For what I understand, there was like under 20 bans, permanent bans. But regardless, however many there were, they had to shut this stuff down. Because if they're the people who are going absolutely nuclear, you need to defuse the situation. And I know that some people will be like, oh, DBT is just defending the moderators and whatnot. No, listen, I barely speak with anybody from there. So it's not like, oh, they're my pals and all of that. Not really. But like I said, I understand the position that they find themselves in, especially when something big like that happens and people are just absolutely going bonkers. So regardless, I do understand, and some people have been saying like, no, but the moderators started calling out people and whatnot and blah, blah, blah. We are all only humans, so if the moderators went a little bit over the line in, you know, calling people out as well, you know, it's unfortunate, but whatever. It's not something that I witnessed myself, but either way. The point is that, yeah, they had to contain the whole situation, and eventually even, I believe somebody from the Game of the staff ended up coming out being like, hey guys, this isn't really worth it. If you want to complain as customer, I think it was Vegito, which again is from Game of the Staff. I don't know exactly what part of Game of the Staff he is, but still. He was like, hey guys, if you want to complain as customers, complain as customer, but stop this, you know, this level of nonsense. So, yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. And well, eventually the whole thing got contained within the Discord server, but obviously there's still a lot of talk around in other servers or in Reddit and other places like that, and that is the other part that I want to talk about. The fallout from this nuclear explosion that we just witnessed. Now, once again, I want to make it clear that I'm not saying that this is the majority of people. I'm not saying, oh, 80% of Asphalt players are rioting, or well, no. I do understand that it was a number and that it continues to be a number that are still talking about this. So I'm not saying that, oh, this is literally everybody. No. But still, I think it's worth mentioning all of this. Like I said, specifically on Reddit, you can still find people posting constantly about how this whole thing, and it was a lie, and this and this and that. I've seen a lot of takes when it comes to this. Like I said, a bunch of conspiracy theories like, no, they did this on purpose to get people hyped and only to disappoint them at the last second because that's what they enjoy doing. And I do clearly say that is a conspiracy theory because that is absolutely ridiculous. What a company doesn't want to do is make their customers upset. That's not what they're aiming for. Now, granted, you can make a big point of being like, well, yeah, but this is one of these games that is meant to frustrate you and to make you spend money and all of that and blah, blah, blah. Yes, 100%. And this is something that I've said myself. I might be a content creator, but I'm not above criticizing things that the game does. And for example, this whole thing with the Venom F5 and the fact that there's no packs, they create this event that even I as a content creator sounded like a good thing, but turns out that there's no packs for it. Yeah, it's kind of BS. It really is. And well, sadly, here's where we are. But what I'm saying over here is that if you really believe that Game Love was like, oh, you know what? Okay, Motley, tell them that there's gonna be packs, and then we actually surprise them and there's no packs. That's gonna be so funny. If you think a company is planning that, you don't understand a single bit about what it is to have a player base or a customer base. Now, there is an argument to be made that they're like, oh, let's set up this event that is gonna get people excited, and then we don't add the packs. All right, there's an argument there, and it's a real one because that is exactly what happened. But again, it's one thing to to create an event like this and be like, yeah, it's not what people would have liked, than to straight up, purposely, intentionally lie to people and make them believe one thing and then be like, we pulled the rug and screw you. It doesn't make any sense. That's not how things work. So that's why I said all of that is just a massive conspiracy theory that people are running with. But anyway, then I've also seen people being like, no, you know what? Mudley should be fired for that, blah, 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 blah. It's like, guys, Jesus Christ. So now you want one person, I mean, not that this is gonna happen, but you want one person to lose their job, to lose their livelihood because they made a mistake. Really? That is the standard that you want to live with? Oh, God forbid the moment that you are in the workforce, because then if you were held to the same standards that you guys are asking to, oh, I assure you would end up without a job really, really quick. This is the whole thing that I said even in my other video when it was about the skill shaming and all of that, that people, it is understandable in a way because a lot of people tend to be blind to this, but it's really disappointing, really sad to see how many people lack any sense of empathy towards other people. They just focus on like, I don't have the Pack 41 card that I want. Oh, I hope you lose your livelihood and that, you end up on the street or something. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. This whole thing to me, and when I mean this whole thing, I mean, again, starting from the moment that the card was available as a free-to-play and all the skill shaming and blah, 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 it just really is starting to show some of the worst of people when it comes to something as silly as owning a car in a video game. Like, seriously? Now, here's another thing, and obviously I do not work for Gameloft. I may be a content creator, but I'm not actually an employee of Gameloft, just making that very clear. But because of that, I don't have any sort of insider information as to how things work internally. But I can tell you from places that I've worked, even in my own Discord server and things like that, when someone does something, let's say that a moderator goes over the line on something, and people start telling me like, DBT, your moderator did this is absolutely terrible, blah, 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 you should remove them from the blah, 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 blah. It's like, all right. And again, thinking about this, whether as something as silly as a Discord server or an actual job. When you have somebody that has been working for you and they make a mistake, you don't judge them exclusively on that mistake. Instead, you put on the balance everything that they have done, all of the good that they have done, or all of the service that they have provided to you, and then the mistake. Now, unless it was a massive mistake that made my company lose $1 million, I don't know, something like that, right? Unless it was something like that, then yeah, maybe I'll look into firing my employee or things like that. But in general, a mistake doesn't mean like, oh yeah, I'm absolutely gonna fire this person, I'm gonna remove them for the position or anything like that. That's not how things work. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not some sort of, let's say, acknowledgement of it. But I mean internal acknowledgement. Like, for example, when something like that would happen, for example, with a moderator in my Discord server, I'm gonna talk to that moderator and be like, hey, listen, this you did was not how it should have been. This, unfortunately, was not the way that you should have gone with. So yeah, avoid doing this, blah, 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 blah. Are we understanding each other with this, about this, without being a-holes or anything, but being like, hey, listen, this was wrong, so please don't do this. Are we clear? Yes, yeah, okay, all right, chill. Great. We have this conversation and all. Now the thing, and I mention all of this because people want to know what it is that happened. Did you fire this person? Did you scold them? Did you blah, 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 blah? Guys, all of this is internals, all right? This is internal stuff. And I'm not gonna make public how, oh yeah, I scolded this person because of this one thing, and I told them to not do it again or they're gonna be... No, that's not how things work. So all of this I'm mentioning is just to mention that we don't know. There might have been a conversation perhaps with like, I don't know if it was with Motley, who knows, right? But maybe they were like, hey, so let's just be careful with how we word things, because unfortunately this brought a firestorm that was completely unnecessary. So yeah, this is, So that is not to say that, oh yeah, you see, they were laughing of all of the players and blah, blah, blah. We just don't know. It may just be their policy to keep it behind closed door, because that is normally how it works in any workplace, in anything like that. So yeah, there you go. I'll tell you, I'll give you a little bit of a quick story. At some point in my job, I made a big mistake at my job where I said something that I shouldn't have said. And you know what? I definitely got some fire from it, from my higher ups. And be like, yo, DBT, this was absolutely unacceptable. You cannot blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're actually right. Yeah, I completely messed up over there. Now, does that mean that they went and tell the people, oh yeah, we just called the DBT and that? No, that's not how it works, all right? It's an internal thing that is just part of managing people, understanding that it serves no purpose to put them on blast publicly either. So anyway, I'm coming back to the topic of this whole debacle and all of that. Like I said, I understand that people are upset. You have the right to be upset about it. I'm not saying like, oh, come on, you should just get over it. No, it's fine. You know, in a way, we were misled by mistake, but we were misled. So I understand the bother about it, and you have definitely the right to make it known like, well, I'm extremely disappointed. I'm actually quite upset about this. But there is a difference between voicing out your discomfort or your anger or whatever it is than to straight up be insulting, aggravating people, you know, sending threats to people, harassing them through DMs and all of that stuff. It's a huge difference on doing this thing. So, I mean, and once again, I'm not saying that this is the majority, but there's definitely an amount of people that have been doing this. So it is just really sad to see people getting this worked up about, you know, I mean, it sounds very dismissive when I say a game. I understand that this is a game that we love and that we are very invested into. So I'm not gonna make like, oh, you're just doing this over a game. But it is a game after all. And I've seen people being like, oh, you know what? I'm quitting the game over this, and yeah, I don't want to be part of this anymore. And you know what? That is fair enough. If you really are that bothered by it, absolutely, you're in your right to start supporting this game. And by supporting, I mean even playing it. I'm not necessarily just talking about money. No, even just playing the game technically is kind of supporting it because you are one more to the player base, right? But yeah, you are definitely allowed to stop playing the game if you feel absolutely betrayed by the game for this. So that is what I'm trying to make it clear, that I'm not trying to invalidate people's bother of this. I just think that the extremes that some people went were absolutely out of this world, and that some people still continue to have these crazy ideas that no, this was on purpose, this was a planned situation to make people get excited about this and then just pull the rug. It's like, oh boy, yeah, no, that ain't it, shift. So I don't know, again, I do understand, and it is absolutely 100% very disappointing and even upsetting the fact that we didn't get these packs that a lot of us, myself included, wanted to have in the game. My bottom line with this thing is, or rather I suppose the summed up version of what happened here, you know, there was there is an event, there's no pack for the card that we wanted, we got excited about it, we got the wrong information that the packs were going to be available, they were not available, people went absolutely nuclear, and they started misbehaving to a degree that it's just beyond comprehension. And you know, it sadly is what it is. It's not the first time that Gameloft makes mistakes, or you know, that they quote unquote screw us over. Because yeah, obviously there have been some cases where Gameloft absolutely has done things to really grave their player base. Like for those of you that are old enough to remember the Raging Bull season, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, there's been some cases where Gameloft very clearly does something that, you know, ends up upsetting people. But a lot of the times it's not out of malice. A lot of the times it's a massive miscalculation on, you know, the receptiveness by players, and you know, like, oh yeah, they probably just live with this, and turns out that people absolutely go crazy. So yeah, fair enough. Like I said, I'm not just trying to blindly defend the company or defend anybody of the company or anything like that. I just really think that people need to, you know, all of these people that went absolutely crazy, they just really need to understand a little bit how things work, in the sense of like, people can make mistakes, and not everything that is a mistake, it's, you know, something that they did out of malice. Now, if I were Gameloft to try to calm down people a little bit, I would be like, okay, you know what? Here, all the player base, get your 10 blueprints for free for the card. That's it. Which is probably not gonna be enough to unlock a card or anything. And it's something, you know, you're like, you know, have a little something. But that is a problem as well, because then people start being like, oh, they just giving me 10 blueprints instead of the packs. Oh, you think your what's it called? Breadcrumbs? Your breadcrumbs are enough. No, this does not make up for the blah, blah, blah. So I'm telling you, it's a lose-lose no matter what happens. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough position for Gameloft. So I would not be surprised if they're just gonna bunker down and be like, let's just let the firestorm end, and we just keep business as usual. At the end of the day, I think it's mostly people who are just like damaging themselves through all of this and making this huge tantrum about the situation. Like I said, I am not happy about this either, right? I'm not being like, oh, you know, you should not be bothered. No, I'm not happy about this either. but I don't see the point in making that huge of a deal with something that unfortunately we don't have any power to change. And, you know, like I said, some people are like, no, we should just stop supporting the game. You are free to do that, absolutely. And yeah, you are in your right to try to do that, but, you know, to each their own. And, well, like I said, this has been a massive spitstorm, to say it in a nice way. So, yeah, hopefully Gameloft as a whole will be a little bit more careful with communicating these type of things, or maybe they just will stop trying to confirm things that are not confirmed yet to avoid this type of situation. In that way, nothing like this would have happened. If there was never a confirmation of the packs, people would just be like, no packs for this. Oh, well. So you see, maybe through this type of overreaction, all we're getting is for them to shut down even more. And not shut down the game, I just mean shut down the communication. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. I know this was a very long video, unlike any regular videos that I do over here. But, you know, I just wanted to give you my thoughts because I thought this was absolutely ridiculous to see how this event brought the worst from a lot of people before the event started, during the event, and now that all of this has happened, yes, people went absolutely crazy. But alright, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. See you next one. Bye-bye.